Welcome back to the Done Deal Show. Hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. Erik ten Hag, what does the future look like for him as Manchester United manager? A 7-hour meeting yesterday. No communication to the fans about his future. Some suggesting he will stay. Others remaining hopeful he will lose his job. Hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. We're delving into the big updates surrounding Ten Hag's potential sacking. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching around the world. Make sure your like buttons have been hit. Make sure you are subscribing. And the biggest talking point in football right now is Manchester United, this potential sacking of Erik ten Hag. What do you believe is going on is the first question I want to ask of you, the audience. So whether you're watching live right now or you're watching the playback of this, what do you personally think is going on? Now, there's going to be some banter. I understand that. I get that. That's normal, right? I get it. I really, really do. But I want to understand what you really think's happening here. Is this a case of Ten Hag being given a stay of execution? I've had some people suggest to me they think he's going to get the entire season. Our current run rate, that means we're probably going to get relegated, so I don't necessarily agree with that. But I would love to ascertain and understand your opinion on this. And I love this comment from Craig Lee straight away. It says, is this more copium, Terry? Well, I don't know what you mean by that. I know what copium means, but you need to apply context to what you mean in my regard. Because I don't understand what you mean in relation to me regarding this. I need to understand right now, my friend. I need to understand what you mean by that. What am I coping with? What am I saying you disagree? It's more a case of what am I saying that you disagree with, I suppose, is more the point I'm making here. I want to know what you disagree with in relation to what it is that I am saying. Strasbourg Steve here says, if I was a Man United fan, I'd be furious if Ineos kept Ten Hag. There's no excuse during the international break to not get rid, surely. Yes, Steve, listen, I agree with you. If they keep him, I personally will be heavily frustrated at the owners. Now, heavily frustrated at my owners doesn't mean I'll never trust them again. It doesn't mean I've lost faith that they can get Man United back to the top. However, in terms of that as an independent decision, it is one I will not agree with. So, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more than that. What I find very interesting about this is there's only really been one big update since the meeting yesterday. And it comes from Paul Hurst, who has alluded to the fact that he thinks Ten Hag has survived because there has been no communication after the meeting about what the next step is, what the next stage is, what are Man United going to do next. At the same time as Paul Hurst's update, we have heard nothing from the Fabrizio Romanos, nothing from David Ornstein. And I'm not even saying, not even a holding message. I think Fabrizio has tweeted out some of Ten Hag's quotes. Outside of that, not a word. The level of silence surrounding the potential sacking of Ten Hag tells me that whether or not a decision has been made internally, I don't think any decision has been communicated outside a handful of people that are currently at the football club. Now, that for me is a situation where I feel that I've got friends in group chats. I've got a friend at Man United who says he isn't being sacked. I've got other people I know who think it will be happening. And I mean, there's just an update that's come out now as we're live from the Manchester Evening News. And that update has stated that Man United are yet to clarify Ten Hag's future following their executive meeting in London on Tuesday. And someone earlier in the stream said, Terry, I hope that this isn't going to be more copium. Now, look, the words like copium and hopium now are just buzzwords that are used to shut down somebody's hope or opinion without challenging the logic behind it. So I get there's banter, but it isn't going to deter me. What I am hopeful about is that yesterday's meeting took so long because it wasn't just should we keep the manager or not, the pros and cons, reviewing game footage and saying yes or no. My hope is that we're actually discussing who the replacement's going to be, the timescales around this, and the plan of action that comes next. I'm hoping there is a large element of proactivity in that meeting. I saw a lot of United fans yesterday say they don't understand why there was a 7-8 hour meeting. I mean, also, there's a large possibility that not the whole meeting, by the way, it happens, I think, once a month with those same people. The hope is that that meeting wasn't just about Ten Hag as well, that they were probably discussing sponsorship opportunities, the stadium situation. You'd be very hard pushed. You'd be very dull of mind to think they spent 7 hours discussing the manager yesterday. I think that's where, again, it all depends on the level of job I think people have had. If you've never had a job, even middle management level, if you've never been to these types of meetings, you would understand that there's obviously often quite a vast array of topics that go on during these situations. Who's the first Premier League manager to get sacked, in your opinion? I think it will be Deitch. I still think, right now, I still think Ten Hag will go in this window. I'm a bit like a lot of United fans. I want the decision made. I want it over the line. I want him gone. I want him out of the football club. Not because I have any personal vendetta against Ten Hag at any level. It isn't personal for me. But I just do not believe we can progress. I do not believe we can fix the culture at player level. And I do not believe we're going to become a consistent team on the football pitch with him as the manager. I think it will be him. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Big up, Terry. You've sorted my college break listening to this. Thank you, Becky. And I appreciate you tuning in this morning with us. And if you haven't hit the like button yet, please get that done. Lewis here says, what type of style of play, what manager best suits that style? Who's available? Can Ruud look after? Look, the talk about style of play, I'm not. What we need right now is a combination of two things. Man United can't rebuild with a one-track style of play where we're going to play out from the back, high possession base, high octane, consistent attacking football. We don't have the luxury of doing that. And the media scrutiny is part of it. Man United need to improve on the pitch and become more consistent whilst winning trophies. So what we need is a manager that could develop a very solid style that's hard to break down and beat, where there's good free-flowing attacking game. But in the short term, until our squad is completely built, in the short term, until we are ready to operate at that consistent level, we need a manager who can bob and weave. We need a manager who can say, do you know what? We're away against City. We've got to be more pragmatic. We're away against Arsenal. We've got to put those two holding midfielders in. We've got to absorb and have pace up front to attack. But then what you need is someone that knows, well, do you know what? We're at home against Crystal Palace. We're at home against Southampton. We're at home against Brighton. We are going to be the aggressor. We're going to hold on to the ball. That is what we need at this particular moment in time, in my personal and humble opinion. And then as the squad improves, we try to become a more regimented team with a particular fixed style. But I still want that flexibility. Although you're aiming to be the best team with the best players, you might not be. You can't control what other clubs do, right? There's only a certain amount of players we can buy. So I still want to have a club and a team that is adaptable at the right times, is agile at the right times. That, for me, is absolutely key at Manchester United. Oh, so he said it is hopium and copium because no one has a clue. But we're fans, brother. Craig, we are football fans. No football fan, no YouTuber that's a content creator fan. None of us have any real insight other than journalists we talk to or rumors that we hear. And of course, as fans, everything we do is based on hopium. Even if you support the biggest and the best team in the world, you go into every game hoping they deliver, right? We've got to stop with this hopium copium nonsense as an argument. It's not an argument, Craig, my old mate. Of course, I'm hoping we get rid of him. But what we're talking about is the news that has come out, and I want to gain your opinions. Football fans, I was about to say for millennia, that isn't true. I don't think football's been around for 1,000 years. But since football began, fans have discussed football in this way. We have got to stop acting as though fans hoping, praying, giving opinions on what we read is suddenly some alien concept that shouldn't happen. This is what fan content is. If you want the watered down mainstream media, go and watch it. But that isn't what fan content is, my friend. Southgate. Look, there has been no credible link to Southgate, barring him and Dan Ashworth are close, since this began. We've never approached him. There's been no intermediary contact, and he isn't on the shortlist right now. If we end up with Southgate, I'll react to it and give an opinion. But as of right now, there has been almost no popularity, popularity. There's been absolutely no, what's the word I was looking for? I literally threw myself then. There's been no credible link to him, no personal contact, no offers made at any point. The Southgate rumor it's been created by Arsenal fans. Goldfish manipulates his audience. I wouldn't take his poll seriously. If he said he's done and he doesn't back him, the poll would be different. Look, I don't think he manipulates anybody. I don't think Goldbridge manipulates anybody. He has an. This is what's ironic, right? Do you know what the problem is for Mark right now? Is that he's huge, and the bigger that you get, the more scrutiny that comes with it. Do you know that every football content creator, Lee Gunner, Rants, me, Goldbridge, Robbie, Troops, True Geordie, Hussam, all of us will have a percentage of diehards who watch nearly every live stream we do, who watch nearly every video we produce, who would probably defend us no matter what we did. We all kind of have a group of diehard that love what we do. The only reason that you think that Mark manipulates his audience is because he's just bigger than the rest of us put together. So his diehard group is gargantuan in comparison. Equally, he appears to get more criticism and abuse than anybody else. Now, pound for pound, he doesn't, but he's just bigger. So if we all have 10% of people that watch us who don't like us and despise us and attack us, then if you've got 4 million followers, that's 400,000 haters. If you've got 100,000 followers, that's 10,000 haters. The contrast is huge. So it isn't that Mark manipulates his audience. He just has, I mean, I was watching a stream yesterday, a Said stream. Was it Monday? And I don't agree with everything Said says. I agree with some parts. I definitely agree with the manager going. And he has fans that everything he says they agree with. And they're his diehards. They see football the same way. That's not Said manipulating people. That's just like-minded individuals agreeing with one another. So it isn't about manipulating anybody. It's all you're seeing is a much bigger version. And then there are bigger stars in the world than Mark Goldbridge. And they have an even bigger diehard following who repeat everything they say or see the world through their eyes. It's just the nature of the beast. Mark is no different to somebody with 4,000 subscribers. It's just on a bigger scale. That's the long and the short of it in relation to that. Boston here says Ineos fumbled when they kept him and let him sign his needs during the window. United invested on his project heavily, and the last two results were favorable. He's more than likely to stay, unfortunately. Do you know what I would say, Boston? I think we fumbled by keeping him in the first place. I would agree with that. In terms of the players that we've signed, look, we created, as in the board created the shortlist, gave him the options of players to pick if they met our thresholds. They met the thresholds, and then he can. Then he stays. Then he continues. I'm not too sure if you guys can see me. I think I may have frozen. I literally. Are you guys still seeing me? Let me know in the comments section, because yeah, it has frozen. This is strange. There we go. Should be back, people. Not too sure what happened there whatsoever, but it seemed to bug out. As I say, where I live at the moment, there's no fiber optics. There's a big problem after a storm or a digging issue after a storm. So it's going to take a couple of months to get it back. So, yeah, I apologize. But yeah, to this, like, I agree that we fumbled by keeping him in the first place. When it comes to who Manchester United sign, that's a very, very different situation because we create a short list of players that meet our threshold and then the manager picks. So I disagree that we heavily invested in his project in the summer. The club allowed players to be purchased who they believe were good enough. The problem that we have is that the manager, in my opinion, what I said towards the end of last season, unfortunately appears to be true, that he was done, that he just isn't right for one reason or another to take us forward. Nothing is working. So this isn't just, people go, oh, Ugarte was a bad signing, he's looked awful. But even the players that we would say have been good signings for us have looked awful this season. You know what I mean? Everybody's looking bad. Probably barring Mazwari, looks pretty consistent. It won't be long. Everybody's looking bad. So this is more about the head coach, the drills, the way we're trying to play football. However, if we keep him after those 2 draws, I'll be honest with you, that would concern me more than anything else that's gone on so far under Ineos. And I truly, truly mean that. So I'm just timestamping some of the comments that come through. So I know people like to go back and look at their timestamps and when things have been said, etc. Big up Terry from Australia. Every show needed Gal and Don on Straight Facts, please. Yeah, I don't know if I can have them both on at the same time. That might hurt my brain. But yeah, we could definitely look. We could definitely look at doing that. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. We could. Watching from Australia, glad I found the show. United need to stick with the manager and build. Unfortunately, Ten Hag seems clueless, just the wrong manager. The thing is, I've seen a lot of people tweet that, actually, that just stick with the manager and build. I'm sick and tired of sacking managers. Well, yeah, if the manager fails, they'll continue to get sacked. I don't see why that's an issue. And I've been called out a little bit recently. I've had people say, Terry, you used to not want to sack managers regularly, but now you're happy to go through 2 or 3 a season if need be. Now, what I'm giving is a very exaggerated example. But of course, I was always reluctant to sack managers when there wasn't a structure at the club, because I felt that with no structure, there would never be the improvements we needed and would end up in the same place. And I was proven right after Moyes, LVG, Jose, Oli. Ironically, Ten Hag. The structure's now in, but the damage has already been done. So I was right 5 times on the bounce, but yeah, I still get challenged on that, which is very strange to me. The reason why my mindset has now changed is I believe we have the structure at the club. So therefore, you hire a manager. I want the manager to succeed. I want him to be good enough. But if I don't personally think he is, then I'm happy for him to go. I still to this day don't understand the controversy surrounding that. I did have one Arsenal fan say to me yesterday, but you think we should stick with Arteta, so therefore you're being a hypocrite. But I don't view Arteta and Arsenal's situation the same as Ten Hag and Man United's. So again, it's not being a hypocrite. It's viewing 2 separate situations differently. I mean, you could argue that's the opposite of being a hypocrite. I don't really get it. But if you guys have got any insight for me, let me know. Goldbridge saying the new manager will want his own players, so it makes it hard. But this is where I will disagree with Mark. And it's hard to disagree without listening to him entirely. But if he believes there's now a club structure in place, as the club has told us, and the club is essentially shortlisting the players, the club is deciding, by and large, how we want to play, the club, that the sporting and footballing directors are running the club, and the head coach just coaches the first team, then it isn't about a new manager wanting these players. What Mark is talking about is what we used to do. What we're now being told by the football club, and I want to acid test this, is that that's now different. We should be picking a manager who comes in, sees this squad as it is right now and says, I want it to improve because we're not the finished article, but I can get a tune out of these players. I don't need to see 15, 20 of them sold in the next 2 years. Maybe 7 or 8 of them gone. Maybe 2 or 3 of them let their contracts run down and leave, promote a few youth players and buy some more. But all new managers want to buy more. But what we need is someone that can pick up from where the previous manager left off. We have not tried that. We haven't tried that once since Fergie retired. It's always been sack a manager, scrap it all and start again. I am still perplexed and angry that these conversations and words are still being said. We shouldn't be worried about this as Man United fans. If you believe in the ownership, again, if you think Ineos are just the Glazers, then I get it. But again, I can't directly rebuttal what Mark has said without listening to his entire rationale based on this one comment. But no, all managers want their own players, but we have to hire a manager who agrees to the philosophy that the sporting directors, the CEO, and new owners want. And as long as they're all married up, it doesn't matter. The problem we have is when you go from an LVG to a Jose to an Ollie to a Ten Hag to a Simeone to a Pep. There's no way those managers view football in the same way. There needs to be consistency. And just because Ten Hag's failed doesn't mean that 80-90% of his philosophy of football is wrong. It just means he hasn't implemented it right. He hasn't drilled it right. He hasn't coached it correctly. He hasn't communicated it right. We sometimes make it all sound so more complicated than it really is. And I'll give you an example. I've worked in many jobs where I've had a manager who's been awful and they've been moved on. The new person comes in and does a great job, but the business didn't change its products, didn't change its prices, didn't change its working hours. We didn't change the strategy. We adapted a few areas. New coaching came in, new role plays in the mornings came in, a better energy and communication came in, but we didn't change the entire business model because a new general manager came in. By and large, it stayed the same. Continuity, consistency. As I say, I think so many people that talk about this stuff have never had a job of even middle management level, let alone senior levels at high profile companies. It's just crazy to me, Gray. It really, really is crazy to me what I keep seeing and what I keep reading. Terry, no manager in the world can fix the problem now. Our problem runs deeper and takes time to be fixed. No football structure can fix us in 4 months. Where I disagree slightly with your comment is, of course, we can be fixed, but it can't be fixed instantly, overnight, on the spot. Any Man United fan that thinks the right manager is going to get us as consistent as Arsenal, as consistent as Liverpool, as consistent as City inside a few months, you are deluding yourself, Perry. You are deluding yourself, mate. You are setting yourself up to be angry in the future, or you're faking it and you know it ain't going to happen and you're putting that out so you can react badly to it later. That's one of the two things. I go with the first, which is you're just deluding yourself. It's going to take time to make us a consistent challenger. That you are spot on with 110%. But question I want to ask, and no one's really put these comments out no one's really put these comments in today. What do you think is going to happen? Banter aside, I want your genuine reactions, genuine opinions to what's going on, and I want to know what you think is going to happen this window, this international break. Will he sacked or will he stay? I want and I don't just want to say stay or sacked. I want a rationale. I want a why. The only people that put their whys in, we're going to put up on the screen. Not all of them, but we're going to put them up on the screen and delve into them. If you just say sacked or stay, not that I'm not interested, but you're giving us no insight. You're giving us no thought. You're totally speaking facts, Terry. Spot on. Everyone within our club needs to be in sync, on the same page, from the players to the manager to the board. Exactly. And that's why I'm not worried about sacking managers if what we're being told is true and that's all been fixed, that everybody is on the same page, that everybody is going to pull in the same direction, that we're not going to hire a manager who says, I hate this squad, I hate the philosophy of football you want to play, I don't like the players on your short list, I don't like this and I don't like that. Boom, you're not the manager for us then. And that's fine. It's really not rocket science in my opinion. But again, I've spoke about this stuff for 10 years, always been told I'm wrong, always got every single prediction right for every single manager, which is if we don't have that structure in place and we don't all pull in the same direction, 18 months, 2 years in, we'll be in disaster mode again. And every single fucking time we have been. But every time we get into disaster mode, it's just get me a new manager or don't sack the manager. It's like, well, neither of those two things work. You need a manager who is in sync with his board, and you can't stick with a manager who's failing. Why are we arguing over two methodologies that don't work and have never fucking worked? Sorry to swear, but it drives me insane. We have changed every position but attacking midfield and left wing. Do you think we would be a better team without Bruno and Rashford? Look, it's a theory, and it could be true, but I'm going to say no. And the reason I'm going to say no is I've seen Bruno miss games before, and we've looked. He missed the Palace game the end of last season, got battered 4-1. We looked no better without him. We simply didn't. Does that mean he shouldn't be dropped? No. Again, layered thinking, people. I'm not saying he should be dropped. I'm not saying he shouldn't be dropped. But I don't believe it's about a player or two making us bad. Do you remember all the people, Grace, who used to say, Pogba's a virus, he's making us a bad club? Why haven't we improved exponentially since he's gone? Fellaini's a problem, he's got to go. Why haven't we got exponentially better? In fact, we got worse. We actually look, there's a graphic that's out that shows how much better and worse we've got over the times. Remember when Rooney was a problem? His contract means he can't be dropped. Rooney's over the hill, he's a problem. Why haven't we got better? Why? When we drop Maguire, we'll be a better defense. We're not a better defense without Maguire. I'm not defending the individual qualities of these players, but the idea that it's just a player or two's fault, fucking mental, Grace. It's mental. Radio rental is what it is. Annie here says, unless the board is waiting for January, so the payout isn't as crazy. But that would mean they are giving up and admitting they made a mistake. That's true. Look, I would hate to think that's the case. I really would. I'd hate to think that's the case. I'd hate to think that's what's going on. And the reason that I say that is because, yes, it might be £3, £4, £5 million cheaper in January to sack him, but you'd be writing off our season. If he goes today and a new manager comes in and starts to improve us, we can win the cup competitions this year. One of them, two of them, three of them. We could. This squad's capable of winning trophies because it's won trophies under Ten Hag. If we don't do anything until January, we have legitimately written off our season. And I can't ever agree with that, because everything this campaign, based on what we could have achieved at the start and now, nothing has dramatically changed. Top four is very hard from this point. We were never winning the title, but European qualification and winning trophies is still very much attainable. And that is what we should be fighting for, alongside improving on the football pitch. Couldn't agree more. Terry, let's give him from now until December. I think that's what Ineos want to do. I hope you're wrong, Henry. I hope, because if they're doing that, I need to know. I'd love to know what they are seeing. I'd love to know what they are seeing. Spent too much time glazing Arsenal, Terry. You forgot how shit Arsenal United are. Look, Maradon, my old mate, praising Arsenal, praising Liverpool, praising Man City, and I do that for all three of them at the moment. Especially Man City, they get more praise than any other club on this channel. They get called the best team in the world. Praising them in match reactions and in group panel shows has nothing to do with why Man United are doing badly, my friend. Your correlation and causation are so off. It's unfreaking believable. Marniz here says, as an Arsenal fan, I miss the days where Man United and Arsenal were top dogs fighting it out. Ten Hag is taking you backwards. Get him out. Yeah, I agree. And I got a DM yesterday. 1 second, time stamping all this. I got a DM yesterday that said to me, Terry, you back Arteta, but you don't back Ten Hag. It was along this line. He says, but I swear you used to be Arteta out. Well, I've never been Arteta in or out because I'm not an Arsenal fan, so I'm not in that club. But in the first couple of years, I totally understood why Arsenal fans wanted him out. And I have an unprovable theory. The same as everybody there's a few unprovable theories around Arsenal. There is a theory that I agree with, that if they would have got rid of Mikel Arteta after 18 months, 2 years, and brought in a top-class manager, there is a theory and train of thought that Arsenal could have won the Premier League by now. Can't be proven, can't be disproven, but there is some logic to it. That if the club carried on improving, buying the right players, moving in the right direction, just with a better manager, there's a chance they could have won trophies. I think that's a completely acceptable theory to have. But that is what it is, a theory. It really is. Also, I think there's stock in the theory that it could have gone backwards as well, right? There's stock in both. So I'm not stating that I wouldn't go back and change my mind on what I said. What I said about Mikel Arteta back then, I said it because at that time, that's how I felt. The reason why now I look at the Ten Hag and the Arteta situation differently is this. I think Arteta and Arsenal are this close to winning a major trophy. And there is sustainability and improvements, generally speaking, in their team. So I think getting rid of him like last summer, I look at it as you're so close to that success, I would probably give it a little bit longer to get over the line because of how good you are. And I think you're good. That's just my personal opinion. We've only ever had one Arsenal fan who's come on that gave it an opposite opinion to me, who I think, do you know what? Fair play to you for being balanced. And it's about balance in your view. Because he said, his name was Connor, that if we sack Arteta, I'm completely aware that the new manager could make us go backwards, but I'm willing to take the risk in the pursuit of winning. And I thought, do you know what? That is such an amazing opinion because it's balanced. Simplistic, but balanced. And that's how I think you need to be. Look, could the next manager after Ten Hag also fail? Yes. Could happen. I'm very aware of that. Am I prepared to take the risk of another manager failing in the pursuit of improving? Yes, because I personally feel that Ten Hag going and a new manager coming in, there is more chance of us improving than keeping Ten Hag. But this is the problem with a lot of these conversations. They're so polarized. I don't think Arteta is good enough. So how dare you say he should stay? But I just think differently to you. Terry, I think we've got to stick with Ten Hag. I think he can turn it around. Well, we just disagree. Do you not see logic in my argument, though? No, none. I think you're lying. I see logic in yours. I understand where you're coming from. I just disagree with it. I just think we live in a weird world now where people almost can't agree to disagree. Maradon here says, we told you this months ago, Terry, you was the one being tribal and deluded. But that isn't true, Maradon. You're lying. And I always put the trolls' comments up because they make me like, I didn't say that at all. I said I was going to objectively support the manager staying. I was going to give it some time. I was going to sit back and wait and see what happened. But I said I disagreed with it. So that isn't being tribal. That is being a grown-up. Objectively accepting something, being dispassionate about it, not crying every 5 minutes, and just saying, well, let's see what happens, is not being tribal and deluded because I didn't think it would work. It's just being grown up. So again, Matt, this is why we call you Maradon the Moron, because you watch every single one of my shows, you watch every single one of my videos. We worked out the maths about 6 months ago. You've spent something in the last 7 years, you've spent something in the region of 2 years watching my content of your life. But you lie so much, my friend. You're brilliant. Honestly, I love you to bits. Love you to bits. Love you to bits. And Loy, you're the other one. You're another one of my trolls. You watch every video of mine, and I love you, bro. Thank you. You make my life better. You really do. So keep it going, Loy. Keep it going, brother. Keep it going. A man here says, Terry, Erik Ten Hag is a winner. Don't give up on him. That's funny. I think they're giving him a chance to sack himself. They obviously want a particular type of manager who might be unavailable for now. True, but that doesn't mean you stick with the manager because the season is still like Ruud could take over and win us the League Cup, get us fifth or sixth in the league, get the mood better, help get the culture better for the next guy to come in and go to another level. We don't need to wait. We don't need to destroy the confidence, destroy the players, and throw the season away, Dan. So yes, they might be giving the manager enough rope to hang himself with metaphorically, but they've got to act now because I just don't see how this gets better and I don't see how this improves. What system would you use if you was a coach? Well, right now, the squad isn't built to play possession-based, high-octane, high-tempo, tiki-taka. I don't know what the buzzwords are now. I don't know how to name the style of play. But you know what I'm alluding to, right? I don't think we're built to do that against every opposition and when we have to rotate. We're not built to do that. So I think we've got to start working on our drills, working on our passing, working on our basics. I want us to work on lots of attacking drills, which are not overly intricate, but effective, that enable us to, with 1 and 2 touches, pass through our opponents, to be direct at times and when to be patient. You watch that game against Aston Villa, the amount of times it goes into a forward if Garnacho, Ahmad, or Rashford cannot beat the wide man, there's no real plan. You know, we're inverting our fullbacks at times now, so there's no overlap, which means if our wingers can't beat two fullbacks they're up against, we're in trouble. So I really want us to work on that. But I think with this squad and the way in which it looks, there has to be an element of agileness added to this squad where we adapt and change. So we need a manager who has a good track record of being able to adapt to the situation that the team finds itself in. Not week in, week out, but on occasion. I think that's what's going to be really, really key. And I have the patience for that if I can see the overarching style of football improve. And one of the most key components of our system is that we have to become hard to beat. We have to become a team that is hard to go up against. That enables more confidence in our attack. It really, really does. Let's go to some more of your comments that are coming through here. Love the comments so far, people. And thank you to all the super chatters. Thank you to everyone who's hit the like button so far. If you haven't done that, get that done right now. What does this say here? Ten Hag must be protected at all costs. I have never felt better in my life regarding Man United. Exactly. Of course you haven't. Of course you haven't right now. Long live the great survivor. Oh, you're so funny, man. Terry, what profile of manager do United need? Right now, listen, everyone knows I like the idea of Alonso because he has that ability to be adaptable. I think someone like a Tuchel could work for us, especially in the short term, as a squad is built out. Thomas Frank is someone that I think could work for us in the short term as a squad is built out. Now, when I say the short term, that isn't me suggesting, you bring that manager in, you build the squad, you sack them. The hope would be that they continue to improve as managers, they grow with the squad, they become the longer term option. Does that make sense? But I think we need a manager right now who has a background, a pedigree, and if you can get one who's won major trophies like Tuchel, it makes sense, who can adapt, who knows that when he goes away to Man City and Arsenal, he has to play differently to when he's at home against Crystal Palace or Southampton or Brighton. And I think that that's what we need is a manager that is adaptable and agile at this point, but who is very willing to become more and more regimented in a style that is entertaining, hard to beat, and fruitful as the squad improves and gets better. That is what I would say, James, would be my overarching view with that. Supporting him in this is a difficult time, Terry. United are defo bouncing back after this break. Ten Hag in 10 more years. Ten Hag in. Thank you, Catman. Oh, you're so funny. Why is Maradon modded if he's a troll? Do you know, I had to reward Maradon. You got to remember, Maradon, let's work this out. Let's work the maths out on this again. All right. So I've done it before. I don't remember the numbers. So if we average amount of time my content is on per day, including live streams and short, so it's about 60, 120. Let's just say about 150 minutes a day of 150 minutes per day that he puts in. So this guy watches... let me just work this out. So 150 minutes per day of Football Terrace content he watches. You times that by 365 days. That's 54,000 minutes of this man's life, right? It's nearly 1,000 hours a year this man puts into the Football Terrace. That's Maradon the Moron. 1,000 hours. 1,000 hours this man puts in, you know? That's a lot of hours. That's his 38 days. 38 days, 24 hours, I'm talking 38 days. Okay. If you actually add sleep into that, it's almost half the man's year. The man spends almost 6 months of his year watching me, right? Over a third of his life. Over a third of this man's life is dedicated to me. That is why he's a mod. You have to make someone a mod who gives you a third of their life. Most of your girlfriends, most of your boyfriends don't give you a third of their life. A third of this man's life is me. Think about that. Think about how much time some of you spend in church with your God. Maradon specifically spends about a third or more of his life since he discovered me, watching me. That's why he's a mod. He should get a fucking award, bruv. That is dead. Everybody wishes they had a partner like that. That's why I love him. That's why I love him. A third of his life is me. See, you've got to think, right? He eats, he sleeps, and watches me. That's his life. He sleeps, he eats, and he watches me. That's why he's here. Right, Terry, then pay me then, you cheapskate. I'll make you a deal. If you can go a month without lying about things I've said and genuinely lying, like you've done on this show, I will pay for your rent or your mortgage for 6 months. We'll pay for it. The football terrace will cover it for you. We'll speak privately. We'll transfer you the money. If you can go a month watching 1/3 of your life on me, if you can go a month without lying about something I've said, which means you can't say, Terry, you said this would work when I said I'm worried about it. I think it will fail. You can't lie for a month. I will pay your rent and your mortgage or mortgage. I've said it now live in front of 2,000 people for 6 months. The football terrace will cover it. The football terrace will cover it if you can go that a month without lying about me. There we go. So I'll pay you. No other YouTube channel was ever offered to pay one of its trolls rent or mortgage for 6 months if they don't lie about them for that time. No, I can't get out of it. I've said it. Binding contract. As long as you don't live in a £1 billion house that's going to bankrupt me. I'm going to throw that in there now. I get it. I don't think someone who's a billionaire spends a third of their life watching me on YouTube. I don't think you've got the time for that, right? Although Elon Musk is on Twitter quite a lot, isn't he? But anyway, right? He's already made his money. But there we go. That should be easy. And this is what he says. The first thing he comes out with is deflection at its finest. You want to be paid. I've said I'll pay you, but you can't lie about me. The first thing you do is lie and say I'm deflecting. You literally broke it straight away. I ain't deflecting. You said pay me. I said I will if you don't lie about me for a month, a condition. The first thing you do is say I'm deflecting, which is a lie. Oh, I love you. Maradon, I love you. I love you. Oh, I love this guy. He failed already. And by the way, that's still a lie by saying, the deflection. It's like, oh, you're deflecting. No, I'm not. We're literally talking about what you said, paying you. Here he goes. Terry, never seen you pay any of your bets. Well, I have paid some of my bets. Equally, the ones where I offered to pay people's mortgages, no one ever came on and challenged me. No one ever came on and stumble bummed me. No one ever gave me a point where I went, shit, I can't get out of that one and prove me wrong. All the other bets I've paid, he lied again. He lied again. Oh, Maradon, you could have had your rent and mortgage paid for 6 months. But this is why I love Maradon. He cares more about lying about me for a third of his life than he does money. And I've got to respect that. I've got to respect your integrity, bruv. Love you. I love you. I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, no, he did blow that. He blew that big time. He did. I love it. Anyway, let's move on. Let's swiftly move on after that. I don't know what. Some of you guys write some really weird stuff. How can I respond whilst you're talking? Well, because you can type. Me talking doesn't stop you from typing, does it? How does me talking stop you typing? Oh my God. You lost, bro. But thank you. We're not going to call you Maradon the Moron anymore. We're going to call you 1/3 Maradon. 1/3 Maradon. Love it. I love this game. You're great, bro. On a real level. Big up yourself for taking the banter like a man. Paul here says, I watch you every day, Terry, and you're the GOAT. Never understand why people give you so much grief when you give so much entertainment to so many. Look, the trolls don't mean it. Like, on a real level, The trolls wouldn't spend a third of their life here if they genuinely disliked me. Maradon is sitting there right now with a big smile on his face, going, "Oh, Terry saw me. Terry gave me attention." He loves it. So, yeah, it's it's all fun and games for me. I don't take it. I really don't take it personally. I really, really don't. But there we go. Terry, me a liar is crazy work. Bruv, I'm dyslexic, but that sentence is crazy work. Patrick here says, sorry, Tell, late to the stream, so not sure what I missed. Ineos struggling to find who they can work with post Ten Hag, and that is part of why he is being kept. Isn't that partly the reason he was kept in the summer? That's a really good super chat, Patrick, if I'm being honest. And I think that there's elements of that we don't know the full truth to as fans, as people on the outside. I would say this. I don't think it's we're struggling to find who we want to replace him with. I think it's about getting our ducks in a row. And what I'm hopeful of, and this is hope, I'm hoping we do this because the right thing is that as and when the announcement is made, I'm hoping the replacement, whether it's an interim, let's just say we really want Alonso, and Alonso is the guy, and we spoke to Alonso's camp and they're saying in the summer we're well up for it, then it would make sense to discuss that. But what you don't want to do is your board just to go, yep, that's what we'll do then. Put Rude in, we'll wait to the end of the season. Because what happens if Liverpool come in for him? Let's just say slot flops this season and goes. What if Ancelotti retires and then suddenly Alonso says, actually, I'm not going to go United now. So we've stuck with an interim all year just to get to the summer and not get Alonso. And I'm giving you one scenario here. There could be infinite scenarios. So they have to weigh it up, and you want your board to debate this. You want, like I actually want at least one member of the board to fight for Ten Hag to stay. Not because I want Ten Hag to stay, but you need those voices. I'd be more worried about a boardroom where everybody agreed on every single subject matter to begin with, rather than challenge going in. And then having been in board meetings, having been in senior management meetings, sometimes, and I remember being coached to do this by my managing director, it would be, I want you to throw this curveball in. So, well, I don't really believe in that. Doesn't matter if you believe in it. I want you to throw it in and challenge the other leaders because I want to see what our thought process is around it. And the reason he asked me to do it is because he didn't want to be seen as a spanner in the works himself. And sometimes just having that conversation bring clarity to a situation. Again, so I don't think it's necessarily about struggling to find who we want to replace him. I think it's about getting their ducks in a row so that they don't make the same mistake again as keeping him. That is what I'm hoping for anyway. But we will, only time will tell, Patrick. But great super chat. Thank you. We have heard before that the managers wanted certain allowances and the board want to work within a certain framework. Might be difficult to marry both. Agreed. Equally, again, the other side, Ineos may say, do you know what? That original framework we wanted, having reviewed it after 6 months, don't like it. Let's speak to Thomas Tuchel again and say, actually, we'll yield on this one area. And that's what negotiations are all about. That's what negotiations are all about. I go through them all the time in certain business deals that I do. So, okay, well, you can have that, but I want this still. I'll yield on this. You can have that demand you want as long as I get this in return. That's how it operates. That's how senior level jobs in the whole world are done. You know, applying for a job as a football head coach of Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, it's not like applying for a job as like flipping burgers in McDonald's, where you go in, you have a job, you do it one way, that's it, done. There is a certain level of negotiation that goes into it. So, yeah, that's what I would be looking at. Man United knew they wanted Dan Ashworth from Newcastle and waited. They got their man in the end. They showed they know, they act. They want what they want. I think it's a really fair point, my friend. I think it's a really, really fair point. Life is a compromise. There are always got to be compromises in life. And people that fail to compromise, typically speaking, fail. Typically speaking, people that fail to compromise fail. It's as simple as that. Simple as that. Terry, why do you think United will get Alonso? I don't think we'll get Alonso. I just used that as a hypothetical example. I didn't say we'd get him. I said I want him, but I just use him as a hypothetical example. Ten Hag in until he faces Chelsea. That's how you know as well. People don't think our players are as bad as they make out, because they're so desperate for Ten Hag to stay. If it was our players that were just as bad anyway, it wouldn't matter, would it? So you can always get the truth through veiled comments from rivals. It always tells you where you're really at. It always tells you where you're really at. We fans need straight answers from Ineos, either back Ten Hag or sack him. I think you're right. We need a straight answer on what's going on with him. All the other elements, as much as I want a straight answer, I don't think it's right for Man United to give one, because you don't want to reveal your hand. You don't want to reveal what you want to do. You need to keep it secret. You just do. So I get it from both sides. I get it from both sides, Jim, and I totally understand where you're coming from. I really, really do. Look, everyone who has tuned in today, I want to say a big thank you to each and every single one of you. This video is going to refer you through to the Straight Facts Show. We're going to be a bit later going live today. I think 5 p.m. we're going live today. Mo's got some commitments, and I said we'll push it back because there's no football on. So we are going to see you all there, which is, first of all, thank you. And we'll be live around then. This video is going to redirect you to that. So make sure you go over there now. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you're kind of subscribed and ready for that to go. Thank you to all the super chatters. Thank you to Maradon the Moron. You legend. You legend. And in the great words of NSYNC, I'm just going to say bye, bye, bye. Take care, people, and I'll see you all again soon. Peace.